Jenna Evans.
Jeff Honeycutt, and I know that Kara Riley is en route, is what I've heard. So only when she does arrive, at least like 4 out of 7 members, we would not have a quorum, we would not be able to have any votes tonight. I believe the only issue on the agenda that requires vote as of right now would be the consent agenda, which we can just push that. So we've got at least 5 members here to be able to do that. So why don't we go ahead and just jump to number 3, which is the Pledge of Allegiance, where there's our little flag on the library.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So let's see, let's jump into item number 4, which is our district update. Dr. Roberts.
So I've got some great news to share with you. Our transport system is officially up and running. So our new, yes, please everybody, yes. Our work indivisible,
Liberty and justice for all.
Important got applause. My tech support skills.
So our new system is up and running in the buses. All buses have been loaded with the programs. The students have their identification fobs. They're checking onto the bus. We will send out the program itself comes with the app for parents. The system wants about 2 weeks to run an operation before parents are able to upload the apps to then track the buses. They want to make sure all the kinks are working out, which is what we're doing right now. The kids have a fob, they swipe as they get on the bus, and it identifies them as being on that particular bus. If they come up that it's not their bus, the driver has to then either approve them because they have their name on the list, or they need to direct them to their appropriate bus. So we're really excited that that's up and running. We got the contract right at the nick of time, as well as some other big districts, so they've had to really kind of maneuver to get us in, as well as parts for the equipment and all that. It's also a great indicator too, if kids are able, if they don't have their fob or if they're missing their fob, they can purchase a replacement. It's not that expensive. But we also can tell who is missing a fob by the drivers having to manually enter them onto the bus. So it pulls up a list of the, so Courtney can literally go to those students' parents' email and say, hey, they got on the bus there without a fob. You need help getting another one. And assist them that way as well. She's able to sit on her computer and track where the buses are at, the times that they're at each location. So we have a lot more oversight. So we're really excited to share that news, and parents will be given the information to get the app on their phone to track their students' progress. Our goal is when we come back from break, that they are able to have that availability. The next thing I'd like to share with you is I passed out, this is, if you remember, we talked a little bit about the Bellwether Education Foundation and us getting approved to participate in their cohort. This is funded by the Walton Family Foundation, and we were one of 2 schools in the state to receive this participation in this cohort. So I just participated in the onboarding today and kind of going through what this process will be. And I wanted to share kind of the slides I was shown, but most importantly on page 9, it talks about sort of what we're going to receive by being in this cohort. And it is this 3 to 5 year strategic growth plan. including a staffing model and a financial model. It will be an evaluation of how we grow our leadership capacity to anticipate scale growth, as well as the training tools to continue to engage our stakeholders and move forward with the growth plan. On page is 12, it's a little bit of a timeline. So there's a lot of work that's going to happen in the next 4 months, which is very exciting. It is also going to help us really pull documents that we've gotten in lots of different places, pull it together for someone third-party preview to evaluate what we have, our strengths, kind of what we need as far as growth. And then on the very last page to highlight, on page 21, these parameters are what we're going to be going through as a school with the help of this organization to really analyze our potential for readiness to grow. So these categories will help us sort of redefine our model, celebrate our successes and what we need to fine tune, and then all of these areas will determine our scalability.
So the 1 through 9 is what's happening in this first 4-month section, 7.
Yeah, and they will do their first step.
No, not months, weeks.
Yeah. So they will do a site visit towards the end of January. What that will entail is they did an initial site visit for our approval process. The second site visit will be similar. They will talk with teachers. Not sure if parents will be involved at that point. Parents and community will be involved. They're going to do some classroom observations just to see sort of instructional practices and see sort of the flow of how kids operate in the day. This organization does this with charter schools all across the nation. They just finished up some work in Georgia with some expansion models in Georgia. They really look at us as an individual entity because we are unique, like a lot of schools they work with. And so they're strictly focusing on our ability, not comparing us to another charter or another school. What do we have that is capacity building? And I think the exciting part too is in this cohort of 4 schools, it'll be us, Friendship Charter, which is in this southern part of the state, around central Arkansas, and then 2 schools in Oklahoma. So it'll be a lot of also networking and knowing what their schools are doing and discussing best practices. So
This is so valuable just because we don't have the staff to do this on our own.
yeah, and the funding. I mean, this is a funding commitment that's paid for. So we were able to participate in this grant that's going to provide us with really invaluable information.
So after this initial review of page 21, the 9 kind of where do we sit right now? Do they come back to you with a report or a plan or next steps? What happens after this initial review?
So they will leave us with sort of a report card. If you look on page 22, it kind of talks about where we are as far as our RTG,
so
readiness to grow.
Put these labels on the,
and then we take that and discuss what we would like to see, what our next plans might be. And as we think about scalability for the charter, what does that look like? How do we take this, which is really a lot of legwork that we would actually take to a potential funding source or to the State Board of Education or, to community for more feedback. So a lot of that legwork is going to be, they're going to help facilitate these conversations and help us organize it.
so this is something that we can use when we request our charter renewal and increasing our charter cap.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yes. I'm really excited about just what we're going to discover about ourselves.
Yep.
And just the incredible potential that we have with this help.
Apologies, Peter, did you ask about item number 6? on this. I'm curious about kind of what our role is in this, because I see that the board members have governance, board culture, and just what we
So talk to us, right, about.
I will appeal to you as a board when I know more about what I need, but I'm pretty well knowing that I probably need one or two of you to be involved in some way or somehow. I just don't know when that will be and at what level, but I will definitely let you know. Hopefully by the next time we meet, I'll have a little bit more information and then we'll just be continuing talking about this process throughout the spring.
Well, and part of what they'll look at is what we already have set up, Jeff, which is just like our policies and procedures in our handbook that we follow, which we've had reviewed multiple times by multiple entities. Start, basically, is the one that's approved by the state, but
They've given me some work to do. On page 25, there is a whole spreadsheet of stuff that I began gathering, putting in. And so the work begins, but it's also very exciting.
yeah, it's gonna be really exciting to see.
The next thing is we have a new APSRC finance partner, contract with APSRC for our sort of CFO responsibilities, and Bonnie Colville is retiring as of next week. And the new person that's assuming her role is Renee Ferris. She is hired by APSRC, and she's actually moving to this area, so she'll be working out of their spring data office that she's just bought some Ridge, so she comes to APSRC with finance background from Lake Hamilton School District in Hot Springs. That's where she did the bulk of her work. So she's Adrian and I met her yesterday, Monday, yesterday.
Is it just yesterday?
Briefly, and
Yo, this time of year.
so she's very eager to learn about us and the charter and help. So we're really excited to have her. We introduced a new time clock system. We've been having some issues with our time clock. We've been doing a lot of paper recording at times. It's really hard to justify and calibrate that with payroll. And so the time clock system we had was Bogart, which was fading out. Really was sort of like the Android of the past. And so we've got the new system that's really popular with the districts around us, and it's very user friendly. So everyone's using that system, and it integrates into our payroll very easily and seamlessly. So it's just enter in, and then it just goes right in the payroll. Last but not least on this district update, thanks to Coach Green and his willingness, as well as Aaron Jones, who is excellent with our community and museum partners, we are developing a partnership with the archery team and Quiver. So we're really excited about the growth for the archery team, really trying to encourage the high school students to participate more and increase the number of openings. So we're actually doing a little staff PD at Quiver in January, so the staff can kind of get what the space is like. Quiver is an incredible archery range in Bentonville. And we're going to work out where we can take the kids there.
You can go and do it. You don't have to have
Yes,
experience.
so
It's like
Content Foundation.
yeah, it's like throwing axes.
Fantastic. Yes. And so what we're looking at with the Quiver is they have the opportunity to do archery is a seasonal sport, which ends, I believe, in March. And so the Quiver has the other end of it, so it can be a year round. So kids can actually, instead of stopping practice, they can march, they can join them in this other, so they can practice all over the summer, and that just improves their skills. And so we're really excited about that collaboration, and really look forward to seeing where that goes and develops. That's all I have.
Update, we have 5 seconds.
Okay.
See, so, okay, thank you very much. Item 4.1, personnel changes.
Document is in your agenda material. some resignations and then we also had a few replacements. We are still in the process of looking for a couple of staff to fill some vacancies, but we are really excited about the staff that's coming on. David Sanders, who is going to be replacing Michelle LeBlanc, is with Ozark Ballet and has got a great reputation. His wife is going to be assisting him at some points into that, so we're real happy with that. We have a replacement that's going to be an assistant charity in culinary, and we are interviewing now for some para positions. Rachel Carpenter has resigned for her teacher on special assignment for arts integration at elementary, and so Aaron and I are working on that. That looks like for the second semester, and then that looks like moving forward.
It's good. Any questions about the presentation? If not, we'll go to teacher of the month. We have two of those. So let me start with the elementary school winner, which is Rebecca Schuster. Rebecca.
Woo!
Yes.
That's great.
Do you want to talk a little bit
So
about
picture-
Rebecca, David?
Yeah.
Yes, I can do that.
Great job, Miss Schuster.
Thank you.
Well, Ms. Schuster was a second grade teacher for a number of years. And we needed her to move into art and to drama because we had that spot open. And she was an amazing classroom teacher. And she's just perfect for our drama and
And the kids.
the kids. What's the, what you do on the other day? Improv.
Yeah.
I think so too.
You were in the ballpark.
But she knocked it down the ballpark during November with Hoedown, and it was just an awesome day for all of our kiddos that participated. And then I think even some parents were able to jump on the floor and do some line dancing and do the grapevine. Cotton Eye Joe. Yeah, so we're just really lucky to have Rebecca, and her kids are amazing as well. So, and we see Tommy back there supporting. I'm glad you guys are here. We just love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I know, I just,
1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
You have one word. Don't go near. Don't go near.
We have Carrie Lee. Carrie with the lady.
Really glad to see Jamie has worked.
Carrie Lee is our media specialist at the high school, and truly the high school would fall apart without Carrie Lee. To say she's the media specialist is an understatement. She also does our subbing. She manages 80 to 100 kids in the library every day. She does tech support because we don't have an on-site tech person all the time. What else do you do, Carrie Lee? She mans the front desk when anyone's gone from the front desk. Like, she does all of our digital credit classes, monitoring those. If you look at her roster, it's terrifying because she has so many different things she does every day. We love Carrie Lee and could not survive without her.
Yes.
Congratulations.
All right, that takes us to item 4.3, our students of the month. Dr. Roberts, do you have that list, or is that?
It should be in your binder, but I think you see the grades, PR pages about our teachers of the month, which is a great new addition.
We have the elementary school list. I'm just gonna go and read these off here.
Yes.
From kindergarten, and I'll try to do my best with some of these. Kindergarten, we have Briar Berkshire, Eli Duran, Emery Gilbert, Stella Post Birdsong.
Oh, I'm so sorry, that's my neighbor.
Okay, first grade, we have Jackson McDonough, Mella Templeton, Deacon Brandon, and River Sparks. Second grade, we have Pablo Asuna, Mason Philippon, Maddox Penny, and Zimra Dottie. Third grade, S.J. Burns, Sydney McMillan, Marshall Cathcart, and Allie Clemens. Fourth grade, Grayson Booth, Leilani Matsumura Munoz, Vilana LaPlante, and Jaden Dobrats. Fifth grade, we have Annalise Rojas, Emerson Anderson, Leo McAfee, Keziah Stewart. And sixth grade, Ethan Chapman, Ava Luttrell, Sam Cochran, and Madeline.
See.
Woohoo, yay.
Let's see, then we have secondary, yeah. Yeah, hold that up here too. Okay, seventh grade, we have Carly Watson. Eighth grade, Amelia Clark. Ninth grade, Isabella Newberry. 10th grade, let's see, Max Hythos. 11th grade, Langley Parrish. And 12th grade, Riley Parker. So let's give everybody here. Yeah, that takes us to item 4.4, which is our student council update with Alyssa Cole. Hey, all right.
Hello, so I have a presentation. I'm very excited to be here. We've been doing a lot of cool things since last time I saw it, seeing y'all, so I'm excited to update. Is it gonna be able to pop up on there or not this time?
Probably not.
That's okay.
We have it if that helps.
Yeah, if y'all can look at the pictures, you can follow.
We can follow along
Yes,
as
ma'am.
you talk.
So first thing I wanted to touch on was our bingo night that we helped out with at the elementary. We got to others and it was so much fun. Something I've been talking about that I've been working on is bridging the gap, like what the counselors were talking about at the last meeting. And I think it was a really great way to get our students involved. So you can see a couple of them like sitting at the concession stand, and we had a couple people walking around, and it was just a really good time. Next up, we're in the middle of our winter spirit week. So our student council members put together some fun days that we thought the student body would engage with, school appropriate days. Today was dress up like your favorite teacher day, and that was really awesome. We got to see like some of our girls dress up like their guy teachers, so they had like the beards and the baggy clothes. It was awesome. It was great. But that has been a great time. On Thursday, we have dress up like your favorite artist day. So we get to see students, you know, exercising their knowledge of art and getting to bring that out in a fun way. Next up, we have the winter formal dance that we have coming up in January. I think I might see you all again before we have that, but I just wanted to touch on our planning. We're getting everything set up and kind of figuring out how we want it to look, what we want the details to be like. So I've actually been fortunate enough to head up that event, and I'm having a blast just planning it. And I think students are getting really excited about it too. Elections, so we just got to actually fill in some positions that we had, whether it be, you know, our 7th graders, we didn't get a chance to elect them last year because they weren't on campus yet. And we had some other miscellaneous positions, and we got to elect those this past week. Savannah Dale actually took up one of our 7th grade positions, and we have so many really awesome, not only just 7th graders, but we have a 9th grader, 2 8th graders, and 1 11th grader that we're welcoming in that we've not had this point in the year. So we had a great time hearing from them, watching them campaign, and getting to elect those people. So it's nice to have everything filled in at this point. Next up is the thing, I guess last, that I'm most excited about. I don't know if the link will work from y'all's point in the presentation. It's there just on the side of the flyer, but it'll take you to a website that's called Student Voice. It's a program that I guess not a program, but a system that I wanted to set up because we were dealing with a lot of complaints that didn't really have a place to go. So students like having an issue that they don't feel like student council is doing enough, or they don't feel like student council is doing the right thing, or, you know, they feel like they have issues that they want to tackle that they can't do alone. It just offers support for them so they can kind of take it through us. It's an email system that I have kind of every point on. So I have an administrator, Ms. Dale, on it. One of our sponsors is on it, and then I'm on it. And that way it goes through not just a student, but it also goes to, you know, over my head, over her head, and then I can bring it back to you guys and talk about the ways that we can influence positive change based on what students are saying. So we've already gotten quite a few emails, and as well anticipated, some of them are sillier than others. I got one today that's like, the school's too cold, and I'm like, that's not a student council issue. But yeah, so we set up a flyer that basically has a QR code. Students can walk up and scan it. And it takes them directly to that website where it teaches them exactly how to use it. So we're not dealing with bullying reports, you know, things over our head, like emergency crises, stuff like that. So they know how to use it that is beneficial to all of us. And I just think it's going to be a really positive way to create a good working relationship between not only students and administration, but also students and you guys, because we, you know, I know there were situations like in the past where it was more of like an aggressive standpoint and people coming up and just kind of saying their piece. But I think it would be beneficial to all of the parties involved if we had a little bit more communication there, and students feel more heard by other students. So yeah, that's basically what Student Voice is. That's kind of all I have to say from this month. We have a lot of fun things coming up, and I'm excited. It's going to be a good one. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate it. I'm sad that not everyone can see my presentation. But that's okay.
It is a really nice presentation.
It is nice.
And
you can view it online.
I appreciate you for having me, and I look forward to updating you all as we move forward in the year, because it's been really fun so far, and we're having a great time. Great. Thank y'all.
Okay, moving on to the next item, item 4.5, our December 2022 and January 2023 K through 12 calendar.
One meeting we discussed is really getting more communication to events. And hopefully that will increase participation and encourage attendance. And so I've asked the schools to put together sort of a list. Let's see it in there.
It's not linked in our.
I will get it sent to you, but what we're gonna do is give you a month of what's happening, so with all the dates on it, so it's all concise, both campuses, so that you have it, in case you have time, you can kind of go and see if they get run by here or visit this, but we've consolidated it and we'll get that to you. And I really will be good.
And is that being shared district-wide? Or
We-
just,
We were gonna put it in the agenda, which hopefully everybody would get, the link, but we can also email it out to not only you guys, but we can post that on our school email out to all parents and put it on social media too. It's all in one place.
I know we've discussed it before, and this is probably something we'll discuss in our board retreat where we do our planning for the year. But this would be a calendar that we can kind of have a discussion about, like, hey, who can go to this event, who can go to this event, but also when can we all get together and visit the campus? When can we, you know, when can we go have lunch with the kids? Or there's this special event, whatever, bingo night or hoedown or whatever it is, just so that we can better plan. Get together.
That's great. 4.6, Arts Integration Museum Partnerships and Visual Arts with Mr. Harris.
It's here.
Really? No presentation?
Well, I don't know how can we present.
That's right.
Joan did not tell me that.
Right.
Acceptable. Yeah.
We're gonna go into Tableau because we're artful learning, right? That's what we can do. So.
If you could mime it out for us, Could you mime it
I
out
could,
for us?
I
That would
could.
be
I like your bit.
All right, so you probably do have the presentation. I'm sure it's in Google Slides. Unfortunately, the presentations I do, I put that animation to a lot of images, so you will see some of the finished images. So I am so sorry. So let's kind of run through. My health goddess is not here right now. Amy is over at high school. Going on, so I'm going to go through some of those events since our last board meeting. Celtic Punk, Green Day.
You should tell about your daughter though.
Yeah, my daughter dressed up like me.
In a kilt and everything. It was awesome.
I hope
Even
there are
had a
lots of
badge.
pictures.
I know we got a picture of Dr. Roberts and her daughter who dressed up like her.
That was priceless. All right, so since last November 15th, 16th, and 17th, we were talking about what's coming up with theater, that double feature. I hope you had a chance to see it. It's like Dream and Beth that we had. It was spectacular. Jordan Haynes did a phenomenal job of not just working with the students. He also brought in Theater Square to work with the students, to have a master class to work with that. They ended up working with the Acting 1 and the Acting 2 students to kind of pull that off. Also in November, University of Arkansas Opera presented for our high school students during advisory in PAC. And we're actually going to be collaborating in the future. We're really looking forward to that. On the 15th, high school dance department visited Art Off the Walls, hosted by Flyover Dance Company in Heidi Hallsdorf. Yes, from here was one of the members as a part of that, as well as former educator here in Castle. So students were able to kind of see these performances, but also got to see some of the artwork that was in the installation by Wim Botha, South African artist, to show the power structure of how violence is playing a role, what students can kind of do about it. There. And the high school orchestra on the 17th, under the direction of Garrett Jones, took them to the Benton County Senior Center and performed for them, had a wonderful time, and then had to circle back very quickly and perform at the high school that evening for their orchestra concert, which we were so proud of. Then we move on to December. So it was December 2nd, high school choir under Joel Abernathy took the choir department, and they marched in the Rogers Christmas Parade. That was fantastic. Look forward to participating in that. So I'm so happy to do that. And then the next day, we had kind of an all-day event with the Art Bazaar. I was under the direction of Crystal Williams and by the Art Club, where you could purchase all of these wonderful wares to get your stocking stuffers. I hope you filled
I
up.
did buy Christmas gifts.
There was so many. And then they look at you like, you're fine for me too, right? Yeah. And so it's like, okay. So yes. And then right after we had the high school piano recital in with Joy Abernathy. Then the second, third, and fourth Equilibrium performed at the University of Arkansas Dance Department. The elementary 8th grade, or I'm sorry, the middle school 8th grade dance advisory, that was so well received. CC did a great job. That December 9th, we began our winter showcase. If you were able to kind of capture that with the 5th and 6th grade choir, dance, and piano department. Heidi, Sarah Bush, Amy Kessler, as well as Joy Price was all kind of a part of it. And then that kicked off into Monday, our whole winter showcase with the modern music last night concert. That included students from Garrett Jones, Max Salings, Patrick Salings, and Leo Walters. That was a great concert last night. Ears are still ringing. And then tonight, of course, we have this amazing evening of gifts. So we have lots of multiple departments that are doing things on site. Fashion design students are mending clothes on site. So you can bring favorite clothing that might need a little love, and so students are then stitching it up to be patched. There's the gifted poetry. Creative writing students are going to be creating odes to order and bring an idea of someone that you would like to commemorate, and we'll commission for that. Gives a piece and possibility. Our students will install work inviting us to reflect on to participate in these gifts, including those that might want to kind of recognize work gifts. We have music going on, as well as the visual arts students in performing, and the Diversity and Equity Club are inviting us to kind of participate for two very important organizations in Northwest Arkansas Children's Shelter and Northwest Arkansas Children's Hospital. So they will be in the Commons this evening. And they're going to be gathering coloring books, markers, crayons, and they're going to be giving those to patients. Follow that for the rest of the year as well. With kind of, that was all about the games component. And so I wish we had the opportunity, and I knew you could see kind of a little highlight here over into the hallways. This is the building of arts integration. It really, really is. We've been looking forward to having Artful Learning come here for at least 7 years. I've been trying to find a way to make that happen. And it is exactly what I expected it to have happen. We are the perfect school for it. And our educators are amazing. You can see what our students do. I mean, come on, cheer that. It's just, it starts with the foundation of you. Other school districts don't necessarily have that capability or opportunity. And to have a school network like Artful Learning come in and work and really make this successful, I'm so excited. And I would love to just kind of go out there for Rachel Carpenter's done an magnificent job this semester of taking over all of that and really organizing, making sure all of it is taking place. And then you got your wonderful administrators here. They're just really making sure that every one of these educators are getting exactly what they need in a crazy work instance. You can see everything. So I put in lots of images that I think you're probably going to see, so I can't really kind of go into all of them, but it is very active to see all of these teachers using these arts-based skills, strategies, what Artful Learning is all about. And you can see them all are successful. We have images of this really darling.
The hallways smell really
Just wonderful. I mean, if you see the faces and face and face, you see that one, that's one of my favorites. I was like, that's so cute. Yeah, with the mouth and the mouth and the mouth. I'm sorry, everyone at home, they have no clue what I'm talking about. That's a food chain. Isn't that fantastic? I love it. Yes. And then, oh, you can just go on. I know, I'm sorry. I'll move on. Also with elementary, outside of Artful Learning, collaborations with Crystal Bridges, the My School, My Museum. We're in our 5th year, 4th grade. It's just an amazing team to work with. We now have had our 2nd visit with Crystal Bridges. So both language arts and history, or social studies, did both their visits this particular year for this semester. And they capitalized on the We the People exhibition. And so this was fantastic. Since we have a partnership with the museum, we get to be there when the museum is closed. So we don't have to pay schools for attention. And that exhibition is all ours. And to be able to, I'm trying to capture some really great images to see. Here are the documents, founding fathers. These kids be able to kind of see these and then see works of art that go along with it. It was pretty spectacular. And I'm just so happy we're able to kind of take advantage of that and just have a really wonderful program. They had a great arts integration assignment. You can see the images for that. And then I have to shout out to Joel Taylor, 6th grade social studies. Did you see that artifact there? Oh my goodness. So we are trying to do something similar with Crystal Bridges with the Rogers Historical Museum. So I reached out to the Rogers Historical Museum and said, hey, we have this amazing Ninth museum that we do. I'd love for it to be with some of our other museums. Would you be interested? And they said, yes. So what would we do? Wrote Joel into this. And so from every unit that he does, the kids are making an artifact. And if you see the images on there at home or up there, cuneiform is what this is. It's an ancient, it's the oldest writing system. And when you see, there's one example on the right, there's one on the left. The one on the left is the student, and the one on the right is the actual. So it's kind of hard to kind of tell the difference between the two. And that's kind of what they're doing. So that at the end of the year, all these artifacts will be on display at the Rogers Historical Museum. The director and all the curators are going to allow the students to write all of the wall labels. They're going to learn how to package and take them as professionals and then take over. And then they have to put on the show to invite everybody kind of to see. So it's going to be pretty spectacular. What that's going to blossom into as well. And we had a few high school teachers, Gloria Salter, is having her English, senior English read Dark Room, and actually had the author zoom in and talk to each one. It was really a spectacular opportunity for those kids. This is an individual who was working as a child in the 1960s during tumultuous time of our nation's history. And the students were able to talk one-on-one and see her artwork and see how the impact of what has changed and what hasn't changed. And it was a wonderful dialogue. Then we had, what else? We had our science team work with hydro dipping that was on display last month. And then as Dr. Roberts had mentioned, we're very excited for the new partnership with Osage Park and the Quiver. So we have a partnership with Peel Compton Foundation. They have 3 different properties. That's Peel House and Heritage Gardens, as well as Kohler Mountain Bike Preserve and Osage Park. Quiver, which is the shooting range, is part of it. We are the only school to have a partnership with all 3 with any of it. And so we're very, very proud to have that opportunity. And lastly, we are working with the nonprofit Hugs from Friends. We're going to be a partner with them February 24th. We're going to have an evening of peace and music, working with Hugs from Friends, recognizing the conflict that's been going on in Ukraine that will mark the year anniversary. So we have a lot of individuals being come in. This nonprofit will have speakers, we'll have dancing. They have outreached and said we'll come in and do master classes for the dance, for the visual art, and for Ukrainian food. So it will be a spectacular evening. I think it's good. Little images, questions, comments, or traumas? Good.
Great presentation, Aaron. Thank you.
Thank you, C. I miss you.
I miss you all too. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 4.7, counselor update. Who's giving that to us? I'm sorry. Is that going to be Kimberly Amber?
Yay, the counselor.
Yes. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
All right, so this first slide is, this is the task visit to our high school. These members came to visit with our students at the table and gave out free gifts and swag as the students. They were really excited about that. And they came to talk to kids about volunteering. And TASK is a really great community partnership. It's the Teen Action Support Center. You go to the next slide. It kind of talks about all of the different things that TASK does, and we are working to collaborate with them so that they can come use our space for their events. And then also we are planning a pretty large volunteering event where we will have different stations set up to let parents and students make like art kits for the NWA Children's Shelter, kits for the unhoused community, and certain volunteer things like that. And that will be a way that the kids can also get their volunteer hours. Next thing is Ms. Foster and I made a cooking skills box, and This is gonna change 3 themes every month. Right now, it's coping skills. That is just a way if the kids are feeling stressed out, then they can come grab a coping skill and try that out. Career, we had several visits. The first one was a ASU Jones girl. This is a Grady Majors who came to give a presentation and gave information about scholarships and
It's done during the day.
this is done, most of these are done either during lunches, they'll come set up tables so the kids can kind of just drop in, or done during win time, which happens at the end of the day, and then it's more like a full presentation, and the juniors and seniors can come to the full presentation. And they're cool for that, if they have all their work done, they're done with their testing. So the next one was Caitlin from UCA. This is Sergeant Nicholas. He's our Marine Corps rep, and he came, and the commons area was full, and I mean, you could hear a pin drop because he was talking about all of his travels and just all of his adventures in the Marine Corps all over the world, and the kids were pretty fascinated. We also have
the Navy and 3 officers from the Navy came today, and I failed to get an opportunity for the photo. So, but they came today and then set up during the lunches, all 3 lunches, and spoke with several kids who came up and students who came up and talked with them. And then they're going to come back in January and do a junior senior presentation during win time for whomever is interested.
And in the spring, we're going to start this again. I mean, we're going to continue this for the seniors, but in the spring, we're going to have bigger events for the juniors and have them come so that they can sort of start to see their opportunities in there.
First of all, I'd like to share that I'm happy that we were able to continue our holiday giving program this year. Thanks to the PTA for advertising and promoting this, as well as Ms. Catherine Camaretti, who handled the sponsor part of the program and the sponsor families as well. We are actually able to help 26 families with clothing and turkeys this year. And I'd like all these gifts to be at the emails by the 16th, so we can get those out to the people. I'm excited that that's able to continue. And then this month we had as an SEL topic gratitude. The students were given a gratitude challenge to name at least 5 things that they were grateful for, or people that they were grateful for. And the challenge was to see if they could get at least 10. Well, some, including this one student, had 29. And so today had 30. And one of my favorites that they listed was ideas, just thankful for ideas. And then after they completed the gratitude challenge, they got in partners and practiced the skill of saying thank you to each other. And then made thank you cards to an adult in their life. These cards were very sweet and very thoughtful. And then I wanted to share about our Lipsy night that we had on the elementary campus on December 1st. We had some families come in that were able to tour some wonderful displays from the elementary teachers' arts and literacy integration projects. One was the first grade vocabulary project that was on words like thankful and harvest and festival. And they had art to go with their writing. And in the second grade, the students created bats and writing after a visit to caverns. And I'm thankful for Ms. Ushery because she brought in Once Upon a Time books, as well as Linda and Emily from the Rogers Library. They were able to issue one library card and renew the second card. And if you probably see the slide, but we had some really great smiles there of 4 students that were able to purchase some books that they chose and enjoy cookies that our culinary department at the high school made. on December 3rd, we had our Saturday family engagement event, which was Dr. Dan Siegel's No Drama Discipline book talk. And I also wanted to share, and this is more from the three of us, that the last couple of our family engagement events we have held have not been well attended. We've really tried to advertise it through social media, apps, email, and newsletters. The Saturday No Drama Discipline talk, in fact, had no attendance. And so we are trying to regroup and restructure our family engagement events. We met on Friday with Dr. Roberts, and we're hopefully planning for a big event in the spring, but we would really appreciate any feedback from the board that we have to help us.
I do have a question, because I tried to log in, well, I last minute wanted to go to the No Drama Discipline since I saw it was a virtual event, right?
It was just in person.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe make it virtual. I tried to do it last minute and it was like it was closed, South Side.
So that may be a thought for the future.
I loved the idea of the book study. And my feedback on that is I have 3 kids, 3 different schools. It's just a lot. It's a lot for you guys. It's a lot for anybody. And I think it's a wonderful idea and I would love to participate in something like that. But I think you're going to have better attendance if you're choosing kind of topics that are coming up in the kids' lives right now, and maybe even just doing a 30 or 45-minute like best practice, or here's what we suggest. Or I love your box that you had on here, and I made the comment to Marissa, now I need one of those in my office. But even things like that, and it may be hard. I know really our goal is to bridge the gap between our EMS and high school. So I know you're trying to find topics that are for everybody, but there may be times too when, especially the times of the year where you're talking about our 11th and 12th graders, our high school students looking for college. Parents have a lot of questions. So you're going to get parent engagement nights there, and there may be something very specific to EMS, like high anxiety at the start of school, or how do we deal with this, or how do we deal with that. So I think there's a lot of questions out there that the parents would love your expertise feedback on. And I think these are great ideas. I love the idea of parent engagement, but I think just smaller bites is going to get us a little bit.
We're thinking directly from us. Is that what you're meaning?
I don't want to put anything else on
No,
here.
no, I'm genuinely.
But I think you were doing a lot of this yourselves, right? So
yes, and we had some prior events. We had suicide prevention.
Cybersecurity. I know we've had somebody come in a couple of times with
I'll be right there. Thank you, Dom.
I don't know if that one was
I would say in response to your mentioning anxiety, the most that we had in attendance was back in April for the anxiety, signs of anxiety and signs of depression. So that seemed to be.
It might even be beneficial to reach out to our community and say, like, what questions do you have for our counselors? And then they could say, this feels like something we could tackle, or this feels like something we could provide information on in 45 minutes or something. I would also.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to piggyback on that. I know you guys have done a great job putting it out there for the parent community to know all the programs that you've been doing. But I was also thinking along the lines of ask a counselor. And so maybe then as parents share the burning questions that are on their mind, you can kind of tailor the programs around that. And to Marissa's point, maybe even just having virtual options or in and out time. We'll be here for an hour on Zoom. Pop in and ask us, the thing that's not bothering you, but that you're curious about. And then that might lead to an in-person program later, but that might be more accessible for some families. Because I know you guys did so much work polling people last year to find out what times and days we're working. So I think all the topics and everything you've presented have been fantastic, but this just might be a way for more folks to be able to access the neat stuff you're doing.
I was really looking forward to Saturday, actually. However, a lot of our students were involved in various nutcracker productions that last weekend. So we just simply couldn't be here. And one bit of feedback I have, because I am very outspoken. I'm an outspoken mom who's not afraid to come after opportunities to ask questions. Ms. Schober has been very gracious with her time on multiple one-on-one phone calls and emails, really addressing my concerns and needs for my children. And I don't know if there's some, and because I've already done it, I don't know the way, but maybe finding other avenues for other parents to be able to encourage parents to just reach out one-on-one. Because that's been such a resource to me. And I know that if other parents were able to just sit down and talk with you, they would be able to get the things we can't get in the larger environments. But I wanted to be, Saturday would be great. It's just hard to coordinate community calendars, personal calendars, and y'all's calendars. So I'm really sorry that you put in all the effort. I'm sure that Saturday was warranted.
And we had several parents who checked out the books and who read it and different things like that. So we thought about maybe just like a little follow-up with just a video book kind of discussion with us, and then pushing it out or putting it on our website or an email link or something like that, just to kind of discuss. The previous ones have been, we've had it live Zoom link where they can zoom in and join that way. And I think we've had one or two parents speak, but throughout all the topics. And so it's just, and I know everyone's busy and everyone's got other things going on, and just our school in general is a very busy environment. Just to find the spot, we moved our spot even because there was so much going on downstairs. So yeah, we appreciate that. So if anybody has anything that after this or after this kind of discussion would like to reach out to us privately, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I would think people sign up for it. And I would probably come to, I mean, personally, I would 30 minutes away from the school, so in person at 10 o'clock on Saturday was hard. I don't know if that would work any better, but I think we make people sign up for stuff, and that gives you guys, an expectation of who's gonna show up.
I just have one more comment. It may be helpful because the school is really busy to maybe piggyback on an event. Maybe have a room at each event, or maybe right before an event starts, so it can just sort of be, we're already out. This is something we're interested in. Let's get here a little sooner. And I always suggest food. Like if it's the food, if you have, even if it's finger foods, if people want to, I think that will get you a lot of attention, especially if you see a really popular event coming up.
To that point, we have taken our smaller events off the calendar, and we're planning one big event. And like you said, we're gonna sort of pair it with performances and community partnerships coming in, and it's gonna be pretty big. We want stuff to do everywhere in every corner. So
we're it's in the making, but we've kind of shifted from what we had planned and had plotted out throughout the year to kind of a different.
And then I thought off the top of my head, because I know you guys are very limited on your time too, right? Your priorities are kids, which is great. Thank you for that. But I get that you also want to bridge and build communities, possibly like 15 minutes with a counselor and like make a video of just like information or best practices, or the word of the month is gratitude. So parents, these are some questions that you can ask your children. These are some discussion points to bring gratitude into your home for the month. I remember, I'm gonna tell you how long ago my elementary days, where we had the big word of the month up on the board in elementary school. It's something like that where it's maybe a video link or something that goes out in the updates from the principals, it just says counselor's corner or, 15 minutes with the counselor. And it's something like that where it's information that you want to get out. Or like, hey, do you have a teenager who's struggling with this? Like, here's some resources in the community. Something like that might.
So we have a whole YouTube channel too. And that way you could, recycle, refer folks back to it as, you move through different topics.
I'll have to ask one of the kids to show me how to. That's a great idea. Yeah. We all have wonderful feedback. Yeah, I think you.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
That's okay.
Well,
We have
an
enough coming
Yeah, I guess a
today.
couple more slides.
Yeah, we have it.
Okay, so, I think Adrienne had mentioned bridging the gap between high school and EMS. And so something that I have started doing is going into the 6th grade classrooms. And I've got some great pictures of some of the kids working on the project called Be the Change, Make the Change. And that is a series of lessons about kindness, empathy, diversity, befriending people, social skills, just those soft skills that we want to work on. So I'm doing that every Friday. And this next slide is into this little activity where they wrote some information about themselves. And so that's why I included this slide,
For
because
those of
I
you who
just
don't
thought,
see this, it says, it's spoken from a student, says, I like making fun.
yeah, and I just thought that was really funny. That was his most important thing that he wanted me to know about him. So, and then the next slide is this pen pal project that we've been working on. We have taken the parts from elementary and brought them to the high school. And the high school kids were delighted and excited. They were so happy to do this. And so I actually have these with me, and I'm going to give them to Ms. Shover tonight so she can deliver those tomorrow. But yes, so every student in 3rd grade was matched with a pen pal from high school, and we're going to go back and forth. Hopefully, it's kind of a big project. Hopefully, we'll get to do it a few more times this year, 2 or 3 more times. And then at the end of the year, we're going to bring those kids over to the EMS for reading buddies. Probably lunch will be a little too hectic, but at least do like a reading buddies so that they can all meet each other. Oh, is that? No. I haven't shared that idea with.
Mr. Skelton's volunteering to monitor lunch for that day.
I do.
We also have an upcoming event, Rob Holiday is a youth motivational speaker. There's not a slide for it, but and that is Wednesday, the 21st, and it just right before we leave for break, and we're gonna have 3 presentations, one at the elementary and then 2 at the high school, and it's an anti-bullying interactive motivational speaker, and he's a guitarist and different things. So
One of the times for that.
yeah, we are working on the times. I think we need to just shift some things with some everybody different. So. You guys, any questions?
Thank you.
I can't say enough about these counselors. It is a hard job to be a school counselor. It's a hard job to work in school, period, but they are completely positive. They work together. One of the goals when I started was to bridge these 2 buildings together and to make a district. These 3 ladies work together. We have to submit what's called a family engagement plan to the Department of Education every year, and they scrutinize over it. They send it back if it's not what they want. We have to edit it. These ladies put it together, and it has to do all these events that we plan to get the community together. And I just can't thank them enough. I mean, they're the rock that holds everything together, and they do. Yeah, they do. One of the things that's in your material is I asked the high school to show you what a few weeks of their days are. And this little grid is 17 days at high school for the counselors, and the amount of conferences they've had and interventions, therapy referrals, and drug-related conferences, and self-harm suicide. They are on go from the moment they step on that campus until way late every single day. And they come back with the energy to tackle the most challenging kids and situations. And I, again, cannot thank them.
Thank you so much.
To item high school update with Jamie, Dale, and Mike.
Ellen's not here tonight. She's at the high school with the gifts performance. We had to split for the evenings with me. But Ellen's only been, it's hard to believe Ellen's only been there over a month. Yeah, Ellen is amazing. She is absolutely amazing. She has made my life a lot better. So updates for us. Dr. Roberts wanted us to talk about PLC, semester exams, credit recovery, and advisory. We started PLCs with Fidelity on the high school campus this year. We've tried to do it in the past and it hasn't taken off. So this year we have Martha Dodson from APSRC coming in once a week. She works with all of our core academic teachers on Wednesdays and has really made some amazing progress. So far this year, these teachers have collaborated within their PLC. We have 3 of them rotating throughout the day depending upon when their planned periods are. And they have determined essential standards for every class. The standards that we get from the state are very robust and very ambitious. And it's difficult to get through all of the standards within 1 year. And that is a perfect year without any learning loss to remediate or anything like that, which we haven't seen in many years. So essential standards break that down to what is the most essential pieces that we want every kid to leave here with. And then you add in these other standards on top of that. So it's quite a lot of work, and they've done that. They've further broken those down to determine the standards are robust. There's a lot of pieces to them to determine vertical alignment. So how does, say, Algebra 1 relate to geometry and Algebra 2 and relate to pre-algebra? You align it across the grades. What skills and knowledge do they have to come into this class? What skills and knowledge do they be leading this class with? How do we assess it? What do these verbs, these activities within the standards, what do they mean? What does the student need to be able to really do? So it's a lot of work and it's a lot of education jargon. So this is something that, quite honestly, I don't know that we could have done without Martha, because so many days are spent doing other things that I don't think that even between Ms. Langley, Dr. Roberts, and myself, we could have managed to meet every Wednesday, which is one of us. So grateful for what Martha's done and has brought her expertise with. She's also composed what they call a data wall. It's a spreadsheet. It's not a literal wall, but it lists every student in 7th through 12th grade. It lists their ACT Aspire scores in each subject. So ELA, English, math, and science. It lists what their readiness level is, because the Aspire groups them as exceeding, proficient, close, or in need of improvement. So it lists all of those. It also lists our iReady that I'm going to talk about later, closer to the end of the meeting. Each student's iReady score, so we can see how these students are progressing. What did they do in the Aspire the spring before? What have they done in the fall iReady? What have they done in the winter iReady? So we can see their growth across all of these subjects. We are looking forward to the rest of the year with PLCs working towards that vertical alignment, so that everyone has a common understanding of when they leave, English 7, this is what they should be able to do so that they're ready to do this when they enter into English 9, and do that for all the subjects across the board. So it is a gigantic, overwhelming task to think about, that breaking it down into chunks really makes it happen. In many big districts, they have employees whose sole job is to do that, but we are making this work with our teachers themselves, which really makes them own their curriculum and their teaching and their assessments and things like that. So,
And are you guys doing horizontal at the same time? Are we making sure that if we have multiple teachers teaching the same class, or does that just happen
at the high school? It doesn't happen, because
So
we
each
have
subject
one
is-
teacher that teaches all English 9, one teacher that teaches all Algebra 1. So Ms. Carruthers or Mr. Skelton will talk about that, because they do have horizontal alignment. If we were bigger, we're not. Yeah. Semester exams are coming up for the high school. Semester exams, take out of your mind what semester exams look like for you, because that's not what our semester exams look like. They are not necessarily traditional paper and pencil exams. We actually encourage teachers to do arts integration or encourage them to do projects, especially our arts classes. Semester exams should not be sitting down with a Scantron. We do not even have a Scantron machine. Some of you don't know what those are. Yeah, so we don't do that. The semester exams are coming up. Our semester does not end until January this year, which is new for us, but it's actually not unusual for high schools. It is a little bit in this area, but not in other states and things. So our semester exams are January 20th, but we are not waiting until the last minute to get that stuff. We have asked teachers to submit study guides for their semester exams by December 19th. In the hopes, one, that we review those, but also so that they are thoughtful about what am I going to put on my semester exam? What can I send home with students over winter break that they can be studying before we come back in January, sort of thing. And then they're going to submit all of their exams to administration by January 11th, so that we have time to review those, look through those. And if we get questions from parents or board members or things like that, then we have access to those as well. Semester exams are required for students in 9th through 12th grade in all classes. That's the way that each school from the state of Arkansas is set up. We weight them at 10% of the grade. We don't require middle school to have an exam, but we do encourage them to do something to help prepare for that. And again, we encourage all of our teachers to do something arts related, project related, something of that nature, more so than just traditional paper, pencil, multiple choice and everything. Grades should be coming that following week after the 20th. Teachers will be composing their grades and finalizing their grades that week. Report cards should be issued the first week of February. And we have a 7-12 awards assembly scheduled for February 3rd. We're going to split that out 2 grades at a time. Those times will be coming that during the school day, and we'll be inviting parents to that. That will be the traditional awards, honor roll, attendance, things like that. Or after the first quarter, we had a character type awards assembly for most improved, best question, responder in class, things like that to motivate students, but this will be more of your traditional awards. Credit recovery, we are not waiting until the summer to work on credit recovery. We are monitoring Ds and Fs all quarter and all semester long on the administration side. So there are very, very few kids that are reaching the point that they are not passing their classes. And those tend to be the students that just don't want to do anything that make them motivated. In the past, we've kind of waited until the last minute for credit recovery, but we're not doing that. So if they fail a class first semester, they will start credit recovery immediately second semester and do that in tandem with their second semester class, so that those will be ready. We use a platform called Edgenuity, which again, Carrie Lee is boots on the ground for that. The counselors and administrators monitor it, and Carrie Lee watches it each day to make sure these kids are progressing. They go through it at their own pace, it's self-contained, and it's accredited by the Arkansas Department of Education.
Great job. Thank you.
It's very scary to get to May and find out you have seniors that have all their credits. So we're not going there again. And the last thing that we have not announced widespread, and we wanted to bring it to the board first, is that we're going to adjust the time of advisory. If you were on the high school campus last year, about 1 year ago, advisory was moved to the end of the day. That is not working out well. So we are making the switch to put advisory back where it was after the first class period of the day. So after first period or after fifth period. This will start in January. We're getting emails out to parents before we go on winter break to let them know. But we are seeing probably 30% of students on an average day checked out during advisory. And this is the time that we do interventions. This is the time that we do a lot of tutoring or makeup time. This is an important time for students to be there. And we are seeing a little bit in staff as well. So I think it'll be beneficial to move that back.
Just to be clear, when you say checked out, sort of tuning out, just.
Leaving campus, parents are checking them out for any number of reasons.
Probably both of those things.
Probably both of
Jeff.
those things, because by the end of the day, they're tired. It does make teachers a little nervous because ADHD meds tend to wear off by the end of the day, but we're looking at making advisory a little bit shorter as well and adding a little bit of time on to lunches and class time. So advisory will probably be roughly 30 minutes instead of 45. We're still discussing actual times and lunches in particular with the leadership team, but we will get that out probably the end of this week or early next week. Great.
I've heard there are some students that they have early afternoon jobs. Maybe they're used to having advisory and you have to get out and be able to go to that work. I imagine that's not very many kids, but have you guys taken that into account?
It'll be a shift of about 30 minutes. We'll have to take some of it on a case-by-case basis. Those are our seniors largely that will do that. And many of them don't have full caseloads or full course loads, full course loads anyway. But it's a thought in our minds yet right now. We just don't know how many kids it affects. And I think once we send that email out to parents, we will very quickly hear who has an issue with it. That's what I've got. Any questions for me?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So next up is the I was going to say EMS and elementary at the same time, say elementary. Getting late.
So we're gonna catch us with my schedule.
Okay, with Mr. Scott and Rachel Brothers.
Okay, we can start with talking about our PLC meetings on our campus. Mark Dodson, who I've 25 years. So glad that I've heard her name. Robert and I were talking about this and talking about the SRC providing an individual on our campus and meet with our teachers to walk through the PLC process. And our teachers knew a little bit about it, had heard a little bit about it, read a little bit about it, but really never got into it. With Martha, she is taking us, our teachers, through the process at a speed that they can handle. Because you have solution trees that come in, they're going to throw a whole bunch at you all at once. And they're the big dogs with PLCs. But Martha started slowly with our staff, them, and she understands what it's like to be in the classroom teaching. She has 30 years experience, mostly at the mid-level, upper elementary level. So it's just great to have her. But she meets with our grade level teachers every Thursday during the plan. Spends about 50 minutes with them, going through standards and again, hitting those essential questions, things that we have to know before we can move on. We have to know. And with our campus, we do horizontal because we have teachers in K4, we have teachers teaching the same areas, the same subject. So we'll do horizontal. But we also do vertical. Even if you're horizontal with kindergarten, you're still going to do vertical. We have, your ELAs, your math, and social studies, but really your ELAs and math, we have to have that same terminology, same. It's the standards build on each other. So not only do we focus here, but we focus vertically too, and that's what we need to. Martha is going to do that. This bridge this gap between so it's a lot of work, but what Martha is doing, they need, and then Martha does the grunt work as far as putting it all together and then putting it. Tidying it up, putting it in the format where everyone can see it. So, like I said, we're just glad that it's here helping us through this process. Absolutely.
Okay, I just wanted to check. I know that Mrs. Dale mentioned that they were doing tracking basically iReady and ACT Aspire data. Are you guys moving into common formative assessments with you guys being in
Yes.
vertically aligned?
Yes.
Okay.
We are. We want to get the essential standards down first and then move in and give our teachers time. And I think probably in the late spring or even during the summer is when the teachers can come together and create those common assessments.
So what data is on it now? You're like, what data are you guys?
We're looking at iReady. We're looking at ACTS. We're mainly looking at the iReady.
So speaking of iReady, we are, our sixth grade is taking iReady before Christmas break, with the rest of our group is taking it after. It is a state required test for our K2, and so they have a required state testing window. And so we're wanting to kind of get the whole rest of the school on the same page and taking it at the same time, because it's a lot easier to have everybody in testing mode than like just a couple here and there. So we'll be doing that when we come back. So it'll give us a growth point to the winter and see where kids are. Already gives a really nice prediction of growth, and so teachers can see how kids are progressing, and we can look at a whole school level to see where kids are progressing and what areas we need to do extra help with. David and I also have met with all our teachers, their professional growth plans, their PGPs, and every teacher in our building has one that's related to arts integration, using one arts-based skill strategy per month. And then every teacher has a growth-based goal based on data. And then every teacher also has a personal PGP that they pick, which can be anything that they're working on. Maybe they're working on classroom management, maybe they're working on learning a particular new way to teach math or a new way to do something else. So our teachers are working on that and been invited into classrooms to go do observations based on those goals. And we've seen some pretty awesome things from the teachers.
Especially the first goal that they have, arts-based strategies. It's really doing what it says. It's engaging students. Staff, teachers, they like that. Part of it's engaging.
Parents.
Yep.
Well, and not only is it engaging, but I've heard a couple of stories from a couple of different teachers that they had a lot of, 2 class periods to do a writing assignment. And they did at the beginning a tableau and another arts-based strategy to kind of introduce the topic. And their kids finished their writing in 1 period. And they said it was really high quality writing, much higher quality than they had gotten in the past from the kids. And so they're like, well, we have to plan this other day because we thought we were going to use 2 days for this. So they're seeing the kids engage that don't normally engage, and the kids who might, when you just look at straight data from iReady or ACT Aspire, say they're on the lower end, but they're able to achieve at a much higher level with the arts-based strategies. They're just helping them really make some connections that are pretty awesome. And it also is helping with setting up some procedures in classrooms and setting up routines. So kind of with some behavior aspects, it helps as well. So we would love it if you'll, as you leave, kind of look on the walls and look around, because they're always posting new things, taking things down, putting up a new set of arts-based strategies. So it's a lot of fun.
And that's something that this is my 6th year here. I've seen more changeover with the different boards. So wanting to show that. Past was we're seeing a lot of kids posted, and so kids are proud of what they're making. We're also talking about attendance and parties, and it's a tough items. especially parties and mom and daddies. It's hard for them to get their 5 and 6-year-old out of bed. I don't really follow that too much, but so, anyway, we are working on positive.
Always a struggle when you guys figure out how to solve attendance. You'll make millions of dollars.
We're gonna work on it. Just,
We're working on some awards to give.
you know, going the positive route rather than the punitive. So we'll use that. In fact, this Friday is our Rise and Shine. We'll start looking at recognizing kids who are not
We do have fun weeks coming up, as winter always is fun in a school. We have our winter parties coming up at the very end of the year. We have the Grinch, who's going to be wave our kids in the car line, and a police officer with the department. He's coming on the 21st.
Oh, next week.
Yes. And so we're just gonna have a lot of fun, as we usually do. So it'll be Christmas sweaters and crafts everywhere. And you've already seen our gingerbread houses out here. So we're just kind of getting in the holiday spirit and just celebrating the end of our semester, even though the semester is not finished. We also are starting to have performances. Our 5th and 6th grade theater is going to be performing for our kindergarten and 1st grade in the middle of next week, and so that'll be another our kids are going to be very excited.
Questions?
I hate to leave the Debbie Downer after like all this excited stuff we're doing. I just have a very boring question. Are we using a program to track the
Yes, the
state department.
the state department put a new one out this year, and
so they're all already entered. Yes. And then cool. Okay, not putting you on the spot there. That's
We're
not
all
important.
in.
But they will be. And then the next time
We have
that's
set up
free.
time for them because some of them just needed help.
Sure.
Some of them would come in and I'd open it up and everything's okay. And what happened to come in? Here's what I'm thinking about. How can we make this work?
So what's the next step? Will there be like a mid-year in January, February, or is this like at the end of the year we revisit?
it's something that we meet up, we discuss, and we do observations based on those goals. So teachers invite us in for direct observations
Like
of them.
throughout the year.
And then they also upload artifacts to the system based on their goals and based on the indicators from the test group that has a bunch of indicators of all the things you need to do to be a fantastic teacher. And we can do indirect observations based on just looking at things that they've sent us, artifacts they've sent us, emails they've forwarded to us. But there are lots of observations happening and lots of communication happening. And when they get that winter data for iReady, it'll be kind of a checkup on their growth goal, their first checkup on that to see how far am I on track to meet my goal that I have for my students.
And all of it can change or we can tweak it. As of January, I've already met that or surpassed that. And
So it's very much an ongoing process, not we did this and then we'll revisit it in June.
Okay. Yeah, and it's also a system that we can hold goals over till the next year. So if the teacher didn't accomplish it yet, but they still want that to be their goal, and we can just extend it. It doesn't have to be just like a year. They could have a goal that lasts a month and get a new goal and another goal that lasts a month. Whatever works for them to be able to improve their teaching. There is a an evaluation that we do based on their goals and the indicators that they chose. We do an evaluation, they do a self-evaluation, we meet together and kind of mesh those together. But that only happens within once.
Okay, that's all my boring questions.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you very much, guys. Okay, moving on to item 4.10. Safety committee, first of the AAA bullying and cyberbullying threats.
So, I'll hope everyone who passed this. So we've got a actual protocol for how we handle bullying, cyberbullying. It's in our student handbook as well as our staff, but we have a certain amount of protocol that we go through. In addition, we've got something called a threat assessment. So counselors will work through this if given the identification of a particular threat. And they have some key points to determine if it's high, medium, or low risk. You know, the threat, depending on how it is given, the time frame, the form, or the process, and all of this is very scripted. The suicide risk screening form, and they've done a pretty good job. And I'll make sure they all send you a copy of what that looks like. It includes information to give to teachers. You know, some of this, majority of all of it's very confidential. So, you know, just how teachers handle a situation if something happens. What are potential triggers, what are warning signs, coping skills, safe places, support. So there is a protocol of how we handle things. The safety meeting is held monthly. David is over, he runs that, he chairs that meeting. And so they've included some of their past minutes and as well as the dates for their next meeting. Anyone is welcome to attend. But they truly go through about risk management, training procedures. We talk about, you know, if there are any occurrences, we talk about site assess, and they run through that. So right now, I think our biggest concern right now is just sort of dealing with some of the internal student issues. I will say there is a current trend with kids, and the counselors can speak to this, but I'll try to speak along. There's a current trend for kids to say, go kill yourself. It happens at elementary, it happens at high school, and it is delivered so casually in high school that it is not even, kids aren't even, I don't think have a full grasp of what they're saying. So what we're doing to curb that is going into some classrooms and doing some informational training meetings on how that is bullying, how that is, you know, it's a dangerous term, but also educating kids to not listen to derogatory statements or words or things like that that are invalid based on someone just saying that to you. So there's a lot of training that needs to go involved into it. We had a wellness committee. There's Katie runs our wellness committee. We discussed that yesterday in the committee meeting as far as a student actually saying it's a trend, even with high school kids, they just say it. I don't even know how to equate it to something that it's just like, you know, it's generations ago, you'd say your mom, you know, it's kind of like that kind of comment. That's how off the cuff they are taking that. So we are working towards that, educating that. So again, we will keep you posted, and I'll have a counselor send a copy of the threat assessment protocol if you're interested in looking at that and reviewing kind of the process. I will say that it's a template, but these kids and situations that we're coming up with, everyone is very different. So sometimes it's a literal hodgepodge of lots of different strategies, but we have those processes.
May I ask what time this meeting is?
Usually it's after school, 4 o'clock, and it's held at the high school. And on.
I'll send you an invite.
Thank you. Yeah. Looks like you don't have a meeting in January, next one's February.
It should be in January, the last part of January, 23rd, 24th.
Okay, well, just, thank you. David will send out the invite for anyone who's interested in attending.
And Emily normally attends for the board.
Yes.
Okay. 4.11, high school computer science, Robert Beard.
So I am proud to introduce Robert Beard. who's waiting patiently. Thank you, Robert. He is new to us this year and we're thrilled to have him. And he teaches computer science at the high school, so he's going to talk to you about his recent award.
Let's received a $2,000 award to expand our computer science offerings next year. Right now, the only class we're offering for computer science, which are ninth graders and below, are taking one class to graduate. 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade don't. We offer more computer science classes for those kids. Right now, we're doing game design, which my first year teaching that. Enjoying how there's several different offers. Just computer science. There is web design, game design, robotics, and for our students at the art school, game design is a really great match for us. Instead of doing like text-based color worlds, we're doing stuff and doing coding. So we introduced a great coding to them. It's a whole lot more elements. We got $10,000 to use. It's all through Donors Choose, which gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom. And that will depend buying some robotics kits, printers, vinyl cutters, technology equipment, like that.
Congratulations.
He's been very humble. He wrote, you're one of 3 schools
read
that were
about this.
awarded
You're
this
very
for
humble.
Code.org. We received a big check signed by Adi Patel, who is the owner of Code.org, who is an interesting guy himself. You're doing a great job. He's really moving our program in a direction. Do you want to talk about the next?
And so we applied for east of our school for next year. We started east of elementary school this last year. This is our first year east of elementary. So we want a place for those kids to be able to continue that when they get to the high school. So we applied to have that, and they're in the process of scheduling site visits. I tried to do it last Friday, but they got interrupted. Should be doing that soon. They come out to our school, see how we have the east classroom, meet with our administrator and some of our teachers. I've previously taught east for 5 years, so I'm excited about having that possibility. I think that would be a really good fit for our school. Like we don't have the room or number of teachers to be able to offer all the different classes that the other schools can, like engineering and we have digital arts and stuff. But East kind of lets the students be able to experiment with a lot of those different programs and working with partners, which we have a lot of great ones already. So that would be a really, I would feel a whole lot more supported teaching East at Arkansas Arts County with all of our other community partners.
Thank you. It's a lot of work. Are you looking at that in terms of robotics?
Yeah, that's what I've been looking at the past few weeks since our past week or so since we found out how that. Looking at specs for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Also, so you said 7th, 8th, and 9th is what we have computers in right now, or if not? I'm trying to see if there's Microsoft certifications.
We offer right now 7th grade key code class, which is like 18 weeks or 8 weeks of that is keyboard basically. We have an 8th grade computer science. We have game design computer science class and next grade computer science credit for 9th. We have a few 8th.
Okay, let's see, for that, well, I already tested test data with Gene Dale further. Did you guys cover that earlier?
I I've got some stuff about our high school iReady, but I am happy to save it until a later date if you would like, or I can email it to you, whatever you want. Okay.
And we don't have the data because we have not taken our second test. So we'll have data January.
We've given our fall and winter diagnostics at the high school level. The elementary is a little more constrained because they have to follow the state guidelines for K2. So we did a fall diagnostic in September. We just finished our winter diagnostic for math and reading. We have a 96% completion rate for math. I'm getting those last four
awesome.
students.
Congratulations.
Yes. Not quite finished yet. I'm sticking them out. Reading is a little bit lower because Ms. Falter is doing her arts integration with her seniors and asked if she could do her reading diagnostic in January, and I said, absolutely. So reading is only at about 80%, but that's because all of our seniors are waiting until January to do their reading diagnostic. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty details, but I'm happy to send you reports. iReady sends us lovely graphs that compare old and new stuff, so I'm happy to share those with you. It's always what Dr. Roberts wants. We have seen growth across the board, which is fantastic. For reading, I've got reading in one place. Let me start with math, because I have math pulled up. Math is our core subject that is lowest. That's the nicest way to say it, I guess. We have the most room for improvement in our math skills. They have went up about 10% across the board. In the fall, the first diagnostic, we only had 3% of our students out of 507 that were mid or above grade level in the math diagnostic. We had 37% of students that were 3 or more grade levels below in math, and that's 712. We have raised that by 3% for the mid or above grade level. We went from 14 students to 26. We have raised the early or on grade level from 17 to 27%. That one went up 10%. Our close grade level has stayed about the same, but it's because our below grade levels have all moved up. Our 3 or more grade levels below reduced from 37% to 29%. And our 2 or more grade levels below reduced from 16 to 13. Our areas that need the most attention are algebra and algebraic thinking and geometry. They are both the ones that have about, algebra has 27% of students scoring 3 or more grade levels below. 10% or 2 or more grade levels below, 25% or 1 or more grade levels below. So that is 65% of our kids roughly that are that many grade levels below. So the math department and the administrators have talked about structuring our math courses a little bit differently next year and having algebra be split across 2 years. So instead of, this isn't for sure yet, but we're looking at doing this to make algebra skills stronger. Because if you leave algebra without having strong algebra skills, then you were behind the curveball for algebra 2, which is required for algebra 3, which about half of our seniors take. So we're looking at making algebra a 2-year course instead of just a 1-year course. And they've looked at how to structure that as compared to other schools and things like that. So we're looking at ed. We're obviously going to be continuing intervention, but we're looking at how to mitigate this going forward. It's not something that's going to be fixed in 1 year.
Can I just ask, 'cause I'm trying to, okay, so there's algebra 1, algebra 2, sometimes algebra 3 or college algebra. Are you saying that we just have algebra 1 and 2 are currently combined? Or are you saying that, what? I don't
Okay,
understand.
so 7th graders take 7th grade math.
Right.
8th graders take pre-algebra.
Yes.
9th graders, this is where graduation requirements start as 9th grade. They have to have 3 years of math that include algebra 1, algebra 2, and geometry. Those 3, the state says you have to have those. And then they have to have a 4th year of math.
Right.
That is above algebra 2. Or it can be a computer science flex credit, which is where Mr. Beard is really instrumental. That video game and development design,
yes,
that can count as a math credit. And for some of our students, that math is a real struggle. That is a game changer. So as Mr. Beard continues to develop our computer science offerings, that's going to offer even more.
But that's gonna be a 12th grade
12th
option. You
grade
don't get
option.
to opt out of your 9th or 10th or 11th grade
No,
math.
because you
for
have to take
okay.
Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. Now, you can take Geometry and Algebra 2 together because some students want to take pre-cal, AP Cal, all these things, so they double up some years. So you have to take those 3, but sometimes you can take more than one math.
So the ones doubling up are not the
No,
ones down here.
These
We're
are
trying to
our
reach.
low
So
levels. No.
we're trying to make a plan for
For
algebra
how
60%.
struggle significantly in math. And math is one of the grades that across the nation, we've seen COVID hit really hard. ELA, you can kind of do virtually. Math, you can't really do that effectively virtually. So we're not the only school struggling with this. Obviously, we're focused on our own struggles, but math across the board is very difficult. And then reading is actually better. Reading, we have still gained considerably, except those have went up much higher. Our most recent reading scores, we have 31% that are mid or above grade level, 23% that are early or on grade level. So we have only about 46% that are close, that are 1 grade level below. Well, we have 20% that are 3 or more grade levels. So reading scores are a lot higher.
What was the growth?
The growth, mid or above grade level has grown 7%. Let's see, 1 grade level below reduced by 1%. So they went from 20 to 19. 2 or more grade levels below reduced by 2%. So all those kids have moved up. 3 or more grade levels below reduced by 3%. And those were all pretty high to start with. They have more what we call domains, like subsections that they're tested on. Our highest area of need is comprehension, which is almost always true. I mean, that's what you're doing in your English classes. Informational text, your nonfiction texts are the area that needs the most growth. That's roughly 30% of students. So English is a lot better in terms of our iReady scores, but we're seeing growth across the board. One thing administrators are working on that I don't have to complete for this is looking at our targeted intervention, what we call tier 2 intervention from advisory from this last quarter, to see specifically those kids that were targeted for intervention, how much did they grow? But that data is not ready yet. So we're having to go student by student. We just finished iReady a week ago.
What was the name of the math one? Because I remember thinking it was interesting. The math intervention that you guys are using for, was it like music?
Musology. And that's not solely for intervention. They're using that in classes as well. And Dr. Roberts may be able to speak more to it, but it operates a little bit on the same concept as the way we learned our alphabet, to put it to music. Well, this puts math concepts to music and to videos. Because a lot of math formulas and such things. So I see them using musology in their algebra and geometry classes.
And the feedback you're getting on that is?
Sometimes the students think it's a little corny, but it still gets stuck in their heads. So it's helping them learn. Whatever works.
Getting it from my daughter. That's why I was like,
before our planning session in January, if we have those targeted intervention numbers. And also I've been chicken scratching as you talk, but kind of a data nerd, and the one next to me is a curriculum data nerd. So if you can email it to us, then I won't have to go back through my chicken scratch.
So much more, I condensed it down, but it gives you so much more. And we can break these down by individual students, not that you're going to want that, by individual classes and teachers, which tie into our evaluations and things. So yes, I'll just send you the overviews, and I can break it down for you by grade. Because some of our grades have made significantly more progress than others.
Sure. I have one more question, because that's I know you mentioned a tier 2 intervention, but it seems like we definitely need some tier 3 interventions as well. And then I heard the advisory period is what a shrink, which I worry about 30 minutes because I know there's transportation of kids, you know, so we're looking at 25, you know, and I don't know if the data seems like it's ready for reduction yet in
I think
my,
you did at 40 or 45. That's why we approach it as a leadership.
right, that's why I'm just trying to put it all together. Is there a tier 3 intervention that I'm just not?
Dr. Roberts is working on that right now. We have a math interventionist that is working, that is currently employed on campus, that is working with some of the tier 3 in class. She's also looking at hiring we don't have a reading interventionist yet. For reading, we're considering adding critical reading classes to our course offerings for next year so that students that are in need of intensive reading therapy, they will have, I don't want to call it a double block because it'll be a second class, but it is kind of a double block. They'll have 2 English classes. So we're looking at that. But for math,
It's important.
That's okay. Tier 1 intervention is happening in the classrooms, and that's also where it ties into these essential standards and these formative and summative assessments and all that. Tier 2 is what we're calling these advisory interventions. Tier 3 is one that we're still working on. We do have one math interventionist, but we're still working on getting those stronger.
Still work to be done, but it's great to see improvement.
Yes, yes, and getting numbers in front of everyone.
Great job. That was great to see growth.
Okay, move to item agenda section 5, comments from the public. Do we have any today? No. Okay, consent agenda. Did everybody have a chance to review the consent agenda and sent out to the boards? I personally didn't have any questions, any comments, or anything we need to discuss with that.
I'm just gonna move that we postpone the financial until next meeting, not because there's a problem, but because it's gonna give us an opportunity to meet with our new ABSRC rep, review budget to actuals, make sure everything is kind of in the right place. She's had a chance to get on board, all of that. So these could just be part of a bigger. Yeah. The financials.
To approve all financial stuff.
Yes.
Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. Do we have any new business? Right, number 7. The attendance policy review will be presented in January. Any discussion items since the publication of the agenda?
Just one, I know it's getting to be a long night. I'll just try to make it short. I don't know how many of you guys know, but we also have to do professional development. The Arkansas School Board Association had their annual meeting this last week. I don't know, I haven't downloaded with my colleagues yet to see who got to do what, but it was a really good meeting. Hopefully we can do it together next year. Maybe they offer some in person, some virtual. You know, we talk about board meeting best practices. Let me tell you, some of the videos, our board meetings are going real well because some of the videos that they showed us of parents yelling and screaming and oh my goodness, it was crazy. We talked about how important curriculum testing and reporting is, which is, you know, I know that was a lot from Jamie just now, but basically that's how, as a school, we set our goals and parameters and kind of, that's why we review these things. That's why you guys come and talk to us about the test scores and that kind of thing. We talked about strategic planning. We have a strategic planning meeting every year that's coming up for us. We talked about team building, and then one of the biggest topics this year was safety and bullying, as you guys all are well aware. A couple of the sessions were very dry. We very much went through every piece of the new laws and it was tedious. But some of them also were put on by safety officers and were really helpful. So all in all, I think, you know, this year's school board training was good, helpful, positive, and that's all I have about that. I don't know if anybody has questions, but it was just PD for school board members.
We have, they need to go to executive session. We'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
First and second. I think there were several seconds, actually. Karen seconded.
Karen went
Yes,
first.
Karen did.
Yes, good.
Thank you to everyone for sleeping.
Okay, back from executive session, stemming out of that, motion to approve the hire of the culinary assistant.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, if there's nothing else from the group, that wraps us up. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're all over the first today.
Thank you, guys.
Second culinary, thank you.
It was all three of them.
Does anybody want to share in the, any?
Everybody.
And we're hands for us.
I was just trying to point to.
Man, I guess I'm the winner today.